four men in funny hats and coats gave him a strange look, but at least they smiled, thought Jack. They led him into the big billowing tent and they offered him a drink which tasted like flowers, but he drank it anyway, just to be polite. A man was in the corner playing a funny-looking instrument, and the pleasant smell of incense hung in the air like magic. He sat cross-legged on the big colourful rug and drank the strange brew, and he attempted to make out what they were saying, but it was impossible. It sounded like double Dutch to him. Jack continued drinking his funny tea and listened to the strange mystic music. He was amazed to see a large snake moving rhythmically to the sounds. It was in a blanket in the corner, and he was pleased that it didn't look like it could escape. He was terrified of snakes, and he had good reason to be. He carried on drinking the tea, as there was little conversation to be had, and he was getting bored, and he was still thirsty. Then a trumpet sounded, and a beautiful exotic woman began dancing barefoot to the music. She was covered in shiny jewelry and bells. She amazed Jack by moving her belly around. It was fascinating to see, and the men were clapping and laughing, and he decided to clap too. Then she reached into the basket and pulled out the very long and very dangerous serpent. It stood up in the palm of her hand and swayed to the music as if in a trance. Then she walked over to Jack, and the snake stretched out like a concertina, and before he knew it, it was inches from his face, and he looked into its red eyes with an open mouth. Then, as quick as lightning, its forked tongue touched him on the nose, and then it curled its head back and continued swaying to the music. Jack drank the rest of his drink, and he was starting to feel sleepy. The dancing lady smiled at him and continued shaking her bells and beads, but it wasn't good enough to keep Jack awake, and he succumbed to his tiredness and fell into a deep, deep sleep. When he woke, there was no snake, no belly dancer to be seen, and he wasn't in a tent. He was up to his waist in sand, but it wasn't ordinary sand, it was wet. It was quicksand. He could just turn his head around to see the three men looking at him and laughing and smoking a large pipe. It definitely didn't look like a peace pipe, he thought worriedly. Another scary thought entered his head as he tried to move his arms and his legs. He was sinking, and with every twitch of his legs and arms, he sank a little more. It seemed hopeless. He hoped it was a dream, but he was not sure.